Hello, this is Kenneth Hines. I'm here with Vincent Hamilton, a good friend of mine for a lifetime friend. And we're just here sitting at Isothermal Community College, just chit-chatting about the old days, the good old days. My first question is, how did you feel after you took a few days off after the state championship at 32-0 season? Just to reminisce, how did you look back on that? What'd you think about it?
Man, I tell you, I still, when I look back at that, it's still surreal here today. I get sweaty, my palms get sweaty. I get this energy about me. I don't know what it is. And my family, they know. I talk about it all the time, especially where I live in Wisconsin. I'm like, hey, I came from North Carolina. That's basketball. You got to play basketball when you're in North Carolina. You know what I mean? That's ain't nothing. I don't care if football can win a Super Bowl, whatever. It's North Carolina. It's basketball. So when we won that championship, man, I look back. It gave me the spirit to go on and do greater things. You know what I mean? All our guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody on our team did some great things in their life, and I look back at it coming from a small place like we did, how hard it was, the times were turbulent back in them days with race and all that kind of stuff before we came to the school. And then think about it, we had, a multicolored principals, coaches, and then we had Mr. Robert would come over.
Yeah.
Nobody in the county had that but us up at RS Center.
Yeah.
It changed a lot of things around here.
Exactly.
It was a different time when we came in. I thought it brought a whole community back together. It was never like that before.
It may have never been like that since, but that was as close to utopia that I can think of. It was great. Thinking about it, just my recollection and reflection, you were on your way to Appalachian State University, my alma mater. And then all of a sudden, Clemson steps in. So what happened there?
Man, that's weird. I was talking to Chris, my man Billy and Chris last night about that. I had called Coach Crimmins, and I love Coach Crimmins. Went up there and visited. I was going there. I basically said, in 7 days, I'm gonna sign with you. Mm-hmm. The 7th day, Clemson called me. Like the 7th day, they said, look, son, we got a guy that's transferring. It was like the last of the year. I was one of the last guys that signed in the country that year, right? Mm-hmm. He said, we have never seen you play before. This is what they said. They'd never seen me play before. Right. And they said, well, Coach was a friend with Belmont Abbey's coach. They won the NAIA that year. So they had some players. NAIA, they had some players. He said, won't you come down here and down at Belmont Abbey and play against those guys? So this is the story. So I didn't even tell my parents. Snuck off Terry and drove all the way to long Belmont Avenue. That's a long way for us back in the day. I didn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
Went down there, and Coach, that spirit of 32-0 got in me, man. I'm not bragging on myself, but I literally tore them guys apart. Coach Boston, Coach would say, look, son, we want to sign you right now. We need to talk to your parents, but we want to sign you right now. And that's how I got to Clemson University.
Well, you know what? Thinking about it, I had never heard that. But when I was at Appalachian, and I graduated in 77, then I came home, started coaching, but I had to go back to summer school to get a certificate in special education. So I hang out in the gym, help Coach Crimmins with basketball camp. I just step in there and help out, and we talk, and I told him where I was from, and then I got to tell him about kids in the Southwest 3A conference, because there was you and Tom's at Shelby, and there was Chris.
Yep.
Reeves at Belmont, and Williams at South.
Southport.
And I would tell him about all you guys, And you know, they didn't know me from anything. And so they just kind of listen and giggle and laugh. But I told them, we got players down here. And so eventually they started looking and they saw you, spotted you. But I was just sure you were going to Appalachia because I still knew some of the guys that was on the team, Darryl Robinson and some of those guys that played good ball. But I was happy for you when Clemson called. We were all elated. ACC, hey, that was great. All right, well, good. But then after that, in your career, wonderful career, Clemson, draft time. We just witnessed draft the other night. Draft time, Indiana Pacers drafted you. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, so first I'm gonna go back to Coach Creamer. So they gave me the red carpet treatment when I went up there. I was shoot in, right? But when I had to call him and talk to him about I wasn't gonna go. And this is why I respect Coach Creamer is here today. He said, Vince, he said, Clemson's program, Coach Foster on that, he said, that's a classy program. He said, you need to go. He told me you need to go there.
Right.
Here today, when I see him, I have so much respect for that man.
Good.
Because most coaches would never do that, right?
You're right.
You know what I mean? They would never do that.
Yeah. They would have been selfish. Wanted you for themselves.
Exactly.
But
yeah. So I guess I wanted to say that about Coach Creamer. Now, when it comes to, I don't know why, because you can cut that. Well, the draft, I tell you, it was, you know, I really believe I was as good as anybody in the country that year, like at the draft. I went up to, and then Indiana had called me. I was in sports news or whatever in the magazine. They had me picked to be in the first round.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. They had called me Indiana. It was like, they're going to take me in the first round. And so what happened is I came out of, coming from a small town. Nobody had never done it before.
Right.
And I had a new coach, right? Coach Ellis, who was a great coach, but he had just got there. I wasn't one of his guys. I had to play point guard my first to start off that senior year.
Yeah.
That means I got to distribute the ball back in them days, right? I can't score as much, so my points gonna go down.
Yeah.
So the first half of the season, I had to play point guard, had to learn a new position, different everything, different coach, and but then I got, when the season was over with, I was on my own. So here I am. And I just talked to one of the coaches and said, what do you get an agent? And one of them suggested you just get this. So I had all I got is a lawyer from Clemson, right? This guy had never done any players or nothing. The NBA had no contacts. And so the draft, I didn't even go up to the draft. I stayed at home, they told me. And then first round went around. I didn't get picked, right? Then the second round, the third round. I got picked in the fourth round. And it was 7 rounds back then.
Right.
So it still was good. And so I went up to the rookie camp, and they had veterans there, but I beat them all out. They said, yeah, you back to vet camp. So I came into vets camp, and this is what's so crazy. I came into vets camp. I remember going into vets camp, coach, and first day I get in the vets camp locker room, I shut the door, went in the locker room, I heard someone say, hey, Vince. I turned around, and guess who it was? The great DT.
Okay.
That was DT's time. That was his last time trying to come back.
Yeah.
And they had my locker right next to him. And we hugged, and guys was looking at him like, man, this dude know DT. Who's it? But then I had to go against DT sometimes.
Right,
Right, and all the other guys. And I played really well. Truthfully, and this is what the coaches told me. They said, when I got cut, they said, I'm telling you played better than all the guys. They had big guys before me, who some of them I ended up playing with in the CBA or championship team. But they said, you play better. But the owners said, because they had already gave him a big guaranteed contract, and you didn't have nobody talking for you. They didn't say that, but they said, we got to keep him.
Yeah, go with the money. Yeah.
We got to keep them. We got them. They gave him a car. They gave him a guaranteed contract. They gave me a $75,000 contract, but I only got a little bit of it. Like that's what they gave me, right? The other guys had huge contracts, guaranteed. They wasn't getting cut no matter what.
Yeah.
And I beat some of the guys that was in front of me. Third guy, I beat him. He got cut before me, and I was the last guy cut.
Yeah. Well, I always heard that Quinn Buckner, being a veteran, and he was under contract, and they kept him. They could have easily let him go, but because of that big contract.
Yeah, in Indiana, he was from Indiana.
Right, he's a homeboy.
Yes,
that's exactly right. Okay. Well, after that, you end up going to the CBA.
Oh man!
Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Coming from RS Central, being on the top of the hill, winning a state championship. That's the top, the top pedigree of basketball when you win state championship in the state of North Carolina.
Right.
And then going to ACC. And I remember talking to Coach Foster when they came to our family. They looked and saw all our stuff. Oh, y'all won a championship? Boy, you got all kind of accolades. And he told me this. He said, well, he told me that you're not even going to play for 2 years. He told me that, son, I'm sorry, but we went to the Elite Eight last year. We got everybody coming back. Mitchell Wiggins, Larry Nett, all these guys, every spot. And then they had the number 8th, 9th, and number 10th best player in the country.
Yeah.
And then the 25th, before me, I was the last goer. I mean, last freshman. He said, you're not gonna play for 2 years. I said, okay, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Most people would have said, no, I'm
going
I said, I'm going there. I don't care. That's where I'm going. And then, but then I got cut. And when I got cut from Indiana, being at Clemson and getting, you got everything taken care of. You living the high life.
Yeah, that's right.
And I had to come back home, man, getting cut with no agent, not knowing what was going to happen. That was the low point of my my basketball career.
Yeah.
And not only that, so then I get a call from CBA, and they brought me down to Tampa, Florida, and Cindy Lowe, everybody on the team had been in the NBA before, and I made that team, right?
Yeah.
Cindy Lowe was on all these guys, right? And then the first game, I go in the locker room, had to put my uniform on. They called me and said, "Go, you need to go to the airport. You got traded." This was the first game. He's I'm a guy. I wasn't used to that. I'm from rough guy. I travel, but you're doing stuff on your own. So I had to go get my stuff up, pack it up. Went all the way to Worcester, Massachusetts. Went up there, had to play with a bunch of guys. Was there for 2 weeks. Traded me to Bangor, Maine.
Oh, okay.
And all these guys were veterans and old guys, the guys you heard about that played in the league.
Yeah.
Like it was cutthroat, man. I'm not kidding. We're not making much money that first year. I had to manage my money. I had never done none of that.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had nothing.
You never really had to. From going from home in high school to Clemson.
Yeah.
Where everything is lovely.
Training tables, everything,
Right. And now you on your own.
Making no money. I didn't call home to ask mom, man, for what. And I was like, I'm gonna be a man to handle this. But it was tough, man. And trying to keep my position.
Yeah.
And there was no guaranteed contract. I played 19 years with no guaranteed contract. That means every day somebody was in there trying to take my job. And I never got, I kept my job for the whole time. But that's because I had it in me, going and playing in the hall and all these places. I was tough, man. I was ready for that.
Oh, yeah.
New York, I played guys from all over the world up there. They was trying to take my job. But I had that 32 and 0 in me, man, I like, you guys ain't taking my job. So that was a different world, and it was home. I tell my kids all the time, you don't understand. I know what being low is. And I didn't come from that, like I was like, you don't know. I know not having nothing and have to make everything me.
Yeah, right.
I know what it is. I had to do that in the CBA,
Well, then you end up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Bobcat. That may not be the first stop.
Catbirds.
And then we get to hearing about Vince, the Prince. How did that come about?
Well, like I said, I played in the CBA for 3 teams that first year. Then I came home in the summer, and when I came in the summer, I got traded to Albany Patroons in New York. And the head coach up there was Phil Jackson.
Okay.
So Phil Jackson traded for me. But before that season was over with, Lacrosse gave him a bunch of players and traded for me.
Okay.
They wanted me that bad, so I got into lacrosse, which was a it was the second year of lacrosse, but it was the leader in attendance and all that kind of stuff. So I went up there, had to kind of make my name, and then I got into the community doing a lot of stuff. And they started naming me Vincent Prince. They said, you play like royalty on the court.
Okay.
And you play hard and I'm a blue collar type player. You know what I mean? Not just, you know, pretty boy. I'm a hustler. You know how I am. And that's where we came from. I hustle. I'm diving on the floor. The people just went crazy over that. And that Vincent Prince kind of got that ring. So
well, you know, I know. I still got the poster.
And they actually named me that up there. That's where that name came from. You know, I didn't make it up. They made me.
Well, since you mentioned Phil Jackson, hey Scotty, how was that experience? After, well, thinking about it later on when he became coach of the Bulls and winning championships, then you look back, man, I was coached by Phil Jackson.
Man, I tell you, I played against Phil Jackson, all that stuff. Yeah, you know, in Charlie, which is his, Coach Charlie was his other right-hand man, played with him. You know, it was just like they were in the Grand too. They've been in the top league, but they was in the Grand, man. We had bus rides. Sometimes the team I had, you know, money was not good.
Was tight,
you know, not paying us and riding on buses and we fly somewhere and then drive 5 hours and play that night. We had 5 games a week. Man, I mean, it was, you had to be mentally tough.
It was brutal.
and not have your mom and dad talk to them. You got to, you know what I mean? You got to, but I was somehow, I say God was with me, and you know, I was focused. I was like, I was trying to get to the NBA. I was like, man, I'm trying. I not even want to go overseas. I'm trying to get to the NBA. And I had my chances. I went to Washington Wizards camp, and they had me in the camp, which was the Bullets there.
Yeah.
And Moses, I played with all them guys. You know, I was in the camps with all those guys. You know, Moses talking, Luke Bowl, you know, all them guys was up there. So, and I was in the Utah Jazz camp before.
Okay.
The Utah Jazz camp, I hurt my ankle 2 weeks before, and I knew I went out there, but I kind of knew like, man, I'm not gonna be able to push around with these guys. It's my ankle, but I went anyway.
Yeah.
You know? So I had chances, and this is what's crazy. Later on, I talked to one of my coaches, the one that not Flip, but the one before. He told me, he said, Vince, I went play in the World Basketball League one summer up in Tennessee.
Okay.
And 6'4" and under, you know, pro league. And he said, I'm trying to make this up to you. But he said, I'm letting you know I held you back from the NBA. Because back then, the way the scouting was in the NBA, if a coach said no, he's not ready, they would take his word for it, and or they would just cut your time a little bit, right? Right. And he said he actually told me he held me back from the NBA. And then later on, when I was with Flip and the coach showed me, they had me as the #2 best guard in the CBA. Why would I get caught up? And then I found out that the owner said that, one of the other assistant coaches said that the owner said, no, stop playing because he's so valuable in the court and he's making so much money off of him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. So if I had an agent,
right. You may have.
I didn't have an agent that whole time.
Okay.
Even then, I had an agent, but not really an agent that would negotiate with.
Right. Boy,
so I learned a lot of stuff. And in that Bobcats team, when the team left Catbirds, I stayed. And people don't realize this. I actually went to Chicago, flew down there because our team was gone from lacrosse, negotiated the deal, and I brought the team back to lacrosse ball. I brought it back. I could have took any position I wanted, but I had a little small percentage of the ownership. I hired all the coaches and everything, and I'm not knocking on myself, but I actually did this myself. That's what I did. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get another team back here.
Right. Okay.
I actually did that, and I was director of basketball operations, community director, assistant coach, and I really was over the whole thing too. But I just kind of, I'm a back-scene guy. I didn't really want that because I didn't know the industry, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Hey, life after basketball, how's it been?
Life for me has been great. I'm attribute a lot of my life. They said life is basketball. I really do. That's why I really think the game of basketball, and I'm not knocking any other sport because I like them all, but I think basketball is the great representative of life because, you know, in life, you know, sometimes, you know, you got to pass it on, assist people in life, right?
Yeah,
a lot of people
right.
assisted me.
Exactly.
And vice versa, you know, you got to pass the ball. Sometimes, you know, you got to defend yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let everything happen to you,
That's
right?
right.
You got to defend yourself. You know, sometimes you got to take your shot. They're coming around, you got to take your shot, you know. You know, and then, you know, in life is like that dribble, you know, that ball goes up and down. Life is like that. My life has been up and down, up and down. It's like that heart. It ain't beating up and down, you know, flat line. You don't want to be flat line in life because you're
right.
gone, right?
Yeah.
So it's like when you get used to saying, no, it's okay to be up and down. Like that ball bouncing up in that dribble, right? That dribble you can drive, you know. And then the other one is when you fall on your butt, right? You gotta rebound, get back up, right? And that's what's happening in my life right now. Like, it's not been easy like everybody. It's never been easy for me. I mean, I know people think that just like you. It's never been easy, but I've always been happy to be in it. Like, you know, like just be able to try to do it. But life is really good. My kids are doing well. Got a family. Wisconsin reminds me a lot of North Carolina. It's just colder, but the people are nice and friendly, and nice area I live in. The educational system is great. Got a lot of friends. Not a lot of friends, but I got friends up there that was players at the time. We got a couple of them stay there and they families there, so we communing and so it's been my life is truly, I've had a beautiful life. Travel the world.
Yeah. You mentioned life is like basketball. It reminds me that at triple threat position, you got to know when to dribble, to pass, or to shoot. Yeah. And that's pretty much what you were saying, because that's important. That is life. That is life. Making decisions, making choices, and sometimes they're all not good choices that we make, but we rebound from it. We learn from it. We recover from and we learn from our mistakes.
Yep.
That's good. And you mentioned about the family, and so that's great. That's great. I know I got 3 kids. You got 3 kids. I got 2 boys and a girl. You got 2 boys and a girl. So but it's all good. What else? Now, what are you involved in right now?
Right now, you know.
Are you retired? Or are you still working? Or?
I retired. I have my own company called Together to One, and Together to One, what it does a lot of things. It bridges business, it bridges people, it works with athletes. I've had that for a long time, so I have that goes. And then also, my wife and I, we just sold about in 2019, we had a chiropractic practice. And we sold that. She's still a chiropractic doctor. So I was in the healthcare field too, and the ownership of that. And I also work with the Ho-Chunk Nation, which is a tribe up there, right? I went back with them and I work with them now. And I was a homeschool coordinator, which was a liaison between the school system, law enforcement, families, to help the youth work their way up until they get out of high school, help them with anything that would block a barrier, right? It's like you guys, any barriers between family, friends, anything. I was there to help the assist them, and I still do that. Now, I've done that all my life, even before I worked there. That's one of the things I've always done.
And I think about that, as you said that, and that's pretty much what we're about here at Osceola Community College. We want to be that barrier, that bridge between community and family and school. And so that's part of what we're striving for. And that's a good thing. Just trying to get more people involved, because we have a whole wealth of things to offer. Yeah, it really is. Well, tell me a little bit about the Native American Tribal Institute that you work with. See, we don't have that type of experience here. So I'll be more interested to learn about that.
Yeah, the Ho-Chunk Nation, it's a nation of tribe in that region, that whole Wisconsin area, First Nations people, and they have their own sovereign government. They have their own government. They own, a lot of the gaming facilities, but they have their own government. So they got their own law, but they got everything, basically. And so they're one of the ones I would say in the country that's doing very well for that. But they have the same issues we have in our community,
right?
With the substance abuse, all the kind of stuff, the traumas, the generation traumas. They have the same stuff. And the one thing I notice is, because I do have some native in my grandmother's side, the Cherokee. Yeah. I got to understand living among the tribes. Something that I've been in the black community all my life.
Right.
I've lived, of course, in the white community, but the tribal part of it, I got to understand that, right?
Okay.
And I see how our tribes, from our people in the back,
right,
they have so much similarities. Okay. And I got to see these customs and stuff, right?
Right.
That man, it's really opened my mind up to a lot of different things, that and knowing that that allow me to, help others. I wish I could be here to help, but I know we got folks like yourself, and Norman, and Larry Ross, and all the people in the community. I'm actually doing that same thing up there. God's got me away doing it there, right?
What you doing?
Yeah, what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. I tell people, I wish I could do it back home, but I'm doing it there.
But that is home. For you, that's home. Yeah. That's all your children know.
Exactly.
But we have Cherokee population a couple hour drive away, and I know a few people of Cherokee descent. We talk a little bit, and so I was just curious and see how that was working out. Yeah. That's a great thing. That's a great thing.
They adopted me. They call it, so we adopted you in our family, and I'm like, I'm family up there. Like when I go around, I'm in all the ceremonies. I'm family, but that's another family for me.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Let's talk about Mr. Jackson here. What's going on with Jackson?
Well, Jackson, Jackson is, I think he's the one that, I think he one day will have the blessing, and I really believe he'll be the one that has an opportunity, a really good opportunity to play at the highest level. Okay. And I've known that. Matter of fact, his name, when we had him, and we had all our kids at home. Believe me, this is a new experience. Okay. All our kids would have at home, and I actually cut the cord like the old days.
Yeah. All right, great.
And my daughter was born into the bathtub. So, because the natural way my wife had healthcare and all, but Jackson, my wife and everybody was like, why you won't name him? So I had to think about it. I said, God, you got to give me the name. So I waited for about 12 days, I believe. And we can't, she wanted to name him Jackson, but I said, I got to change. So I came up with Jackson, and his last name was S-U-N, with a son on it.
Yeah.
It might be the only one I've ever seen.
Jack's son.
Yes, Jack's son. Shine like the sun.
Yeah, that's great.
So, but I think he's going to be, just when looking at players, I've been able to evaluate NBA because I've actually helped players either get up to the NBA as a coach or administrator, or being one of their teammates. And I think he is what we call, like, we didn't get much publicity. He's like that right now. But you will see within the next years, all of a sudden his name is going to pop up.
Okay, all right.
And when he gets his opportunity. Right now, he's in the transfer portal. He played at a university in Wisconsin. They went to the NCAA playoffs. He'll probably tell you more about it and everything. And he just decided he needed to change for his career because he really has put the work in to try to carry the legacy farther than me. Okay. He's put the work in. His kid works.
In the transfer portal, is there any offers or anybody?
He has offers from teams, and when we get back, this is late in the year. I said, hey, I was the last guy signing in Clemson. I was the last guy that all of a sudden somebody transferred. Right. That's how I ended up going. Right. So he's looking at those opportunities right now. When we get back, that's what's going to be between now and before school start. And he's willing to even walk on to a place as long as they say you can compete for a wing position or guard. It's like, I'll go anywhere. I can deal with it.
Yeah, right.
But he just want to get to the point where he can play the guard position, natural position, because now he can't play his natural position that he's grown up with.
Right.
You know, so that's what that's. I think one day you guys we'll see a guy that has some roots that came from this area right here. Other than we got guys here that I think are in the league that kid in high school.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We're waiting on that one
That's
to
right.
get there.
That's exactly right.
You know.
That's exactly right. Okay. What about the other kids?
My oldest, Vince, he was a pretty good basketball player too, and just decided not to play. And I'm just proud of him. He went to a 2-year school and got working hard, and he paid his own way. I said, that's how you got to do it. Paid his own way. Because I said, I earned everything I got. Nobody really gave me nothing.
Right.
You know, I had to earn it. So he paid his own way, has no debt, and then he's got a really good architect job right now.
Okay.
So we're really happy with that. He's doing really big things with that, with his architecture career. And,
That's great. How about baby girl?
Baby girl, she's probably the most talented of them all. Just natural talent.
Yeah.
She can shoot the ball. She's the only one got a state championship. Not in basketball, but she got it in track.
Okay.
She was on the 4x1 team that won the state championship, and she was the third leg of it. So she's the only one in the house can say, I'm a state champion.
Other than you.
So she teases the boys about that all the time. I don't know what she's gonna do. She's got one more year in basketball. She's a really good player, all conference player, and she's got teams looking at her. I don't know if she's gonna sign up to play or not. We'll see. She may change her mind. I said, with all these NILs now, you might need to go play 1 year.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Man, things have changed. Well, what do you think about the NBA draft that just had a couple of nights ago? Giving any thought to it, or the guy from France, Wembayama?
I think he lucked out. He got with a great program. You know, you got to get with a great program to bring you along. I think at San Antonio, you can't go wrong with them teaching you the game and putting the people around you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's right.
I think he's going to be, as long as he can stay healthy, that's going to be, if you go to the NBA, although it ain't like our day.
No.
I mean, I tell people, it's not like our day, when we can hand check people up to, LeBron now, they don't know the old NBA. Hand check people, I can make you go anywhere.
Yeah, you can control.
You can hit people when they come across the lawn. You can swing your elbows, and if it was in the way, there wasn't no foul on you, right?
Right. That's right.
So
you got to clear your space.
Exactly. So,
matter of fact, we used to teach you.
Exactly.
You get that thing, you come around.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or they up close, you swoop through, and hey,
exactly.
Force them to foul.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, good.
But I'm happy for the NBA. Them guys are doing well.
Okay. We're going to pause here with Vincent. We're going to bring Jackson in and have a few words with Jackson. Right, we've been joined by Jackson Hamilton, the son of Vincent, and we're just going to talk with him and ask a few questions and get a feel of what's going on in his life. Well, what do you think about coming home? Well, not home for you, but coming home with Dad and visiting your grandparents and your aunts and uncles, and who have all been involved in Vincent's life, and I know they've been involved in your life. So give us a little insight on how you feel about being here in Rutherford County.
Yeah, it always feels good. It's always a great experience coming back, seeing family. You only get to see them once a year, but it's cool touching back with the roots of your family, seeing where everybody came from and how everything started,
Well, good. Well, I know that you're a basketball player, but is that your biggest interest?
Basketball is my biggest interest. Ever since I was little, I've always played basketball, and I never envisioned myself doing anything else. I've put so much time in that I know that something's gonna work out then. I'm gonna continue to work until something does.
Okay.
But I've always looked up to my dad playing basketball because he played in the pros and all that, and every child aspires to be like their parents or better. So
That's right. That's a good answer. Well, we've all admired Vincent coming up and as being one of his coaches. I'm just so proud of him, and I always get little messages from him how the family's doing, and certainly how you doing. And I hear that you're in the transfer portal. Tell us about your first 2 years and what school you attended.
yeah, I attended UW Parkside Division II school in Lower Wisconsin. The first 2 years, it was challenging. There was some bumps and bruises, with COVID and all that, but I just stayed with it, kept working, and eventually I got a little bit of playing time, but it was just up and down, and I wasn't really getting the role I wanted to play at my natural position and all that. So I just decided it wasn't really the best fit, and for my future, which is to play pro basketball one day, I knew I had to make a change in that area.
Okay. Well, good. Well, are there any schools that you're interested in or that are interested in you at this point in time?
So right now I've received interest from a couple of D2 schools around the area, basically every D3 school, a couple NAA schools. But I really think that I could walk onto a D1 school, if not prove myself and earn a scholarship at a Division I school. Just because I know my size, 6'7" at the 3 position, is what the pro level wants. And when you get in the D2 level or D3 level, they tend to put you in a bigger role like a center,
Exactly.
or a traditional forward, where not as a point forward. So I know my height forces me into that role at that level. So I know with the right coach and the right work and the right workouts, I can be good at that position.
Well, if you had your dream choice of schools, where would you like to attend?
I would. Clemson would be cool, just because he went there. If I could go to Clemson, the area and all that for my last 2 years, that'd be amazing. But if I had to choose close to home right now, Minnesota is where I've applied.
Okay,
and that's what I'm interested.
Well, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I've kind of followed your career at Parkwood?
Parkside.
Parkside, yeah. And I've seen some progression, and so that's a good thing. But we wish you the best. I'm not gonna say good luck, because I don't necessarily believe in luck.
Right.
Because if you put the time in, you got the skills, then it's not luck. It's you work for it.
Right.
You prepared yourself for this opportunity. And I think good things are gonna come. But other than that, what is your major?
Yeah, so I've been majoring in business management.
Okay.
So business, yeah. So I get a little bit of finance, accounting, human resources, all that. Yeah.
Okay.
And my goal is to eventually, when I play pro or play somewhere, I can use my connections, and then when I'm done playing, getting somewhere in the business world. Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
good. That's real good. And that's a good focus, because you see the commercial. Every once in a while they'll broadcast a commercial that most people that's playing collegiate sports go pro in something other than the sport that they played in college. So that's very important. Everybody needs a backup system. And so business is it for you, and I understand that, and that's a great thing. But we want you to just keep pursuing your goal, because nobody can have your goal. It's yours. And what God has for you is for you, and then you just go with it. Again, it's good to see you again. I hadn't seen you in a couple of years, but and you'd be here with your dad, who I've known all my life, even from when he was a little child,
Yes.
coming up in the same church
Yes.
with your grandfather,
Yes.
Mr. Nero.
Yes.
And so we've known each other, the families, for forever. And it's always a great thing, and I appreciate that family. I still admire Mr. Spaniel Nero Sr. He was our Sunday school superintendent growing up. He was just a great man. and we just looked up to him, and in everything, community-wise, family-wise, religiously. So we grew up under that kind of tutelage, and so it's just a pleasure. Mom and Dad, Mom being an educator, Dad, hey, barbershop owner. Hey, he was an entrepreneur way before many other black men in the county were. I remember going there as a little kid, getting my hair cut, and I'm old now, so I remember those days. But it's a pleasure, always good to see you, and I will always keep up with you and the family, because y'all mean so much to me. All right, we're gonna close here. We want to thank Vincent Hamilton. I've treated him growing up just like he was a son of mine.
That's right.
And I appreciate you. Thank you. And Jackson, yes sir, man, it's a pleasure. Always good to see you, hear from you, just to keep in touch with the family. Dad and I text every holiday, every big day. We always texting. But we can't forget about Mr. Wayne Jernigan, the photographer. He set this up. Wayne and I are classmates. We ain't gonna say what year, tell how old he is. But we grew up together, playing together, played high school basketball together. And we want to thank Wayne for your time and this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Wayne. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Yep.
He's alright with me. Early in the morning and late at night. I say he's alright. I say he's alright.
He's alright.